Studios, and this is my podcast, What Makes You Smarter. It's an extension of the RadioWhat.com internet radio station that I've been running for quite some time. And if you need DJ services, where do you go? DJLittleRock.com. One more time, DJLittleRock.com. Check availability and get a free price quote, and maybe you can have me at your next event. I like to party with the people. The people need to be entertained. Speaking of entertainment, this week's shows, I'll be at the Rab in Conway, Arkansas on Friday night. That's my regular video dance party, karaoke jam. They have a full bar, kitchens open, pool tournament on Friday nights, 8 p.m. until 1 in the a.m. Then on Saturday nights, Saturday, I'll be at the Choctaw VFW in Choctaw, Arkansas from 9 p.m. until 1 in the a.m. They got the big room, big stage, video dance party, karaoke jam, and the bar is open. You know the drinks are flowing. They got pool tables. And if all else fails, we can play bingo. They got a big old bingo hall there. So I'll be up on the stage, Choctaw VFW, Saturday night. Be there. All right, today on the program, this is What Makes You Smarter. If you'd like to tell your story or hear the stories of others, I encourage you to check out my other podcast, What Makes You Famous. Find it everywhere using the hashtag What Makes You Famous. Now, on with the show. Today on the program, 10 things you need to know today for Saturday, August 1st, 2020. 10 things you need to know today. Number 1, lawmakers deadlocked on coronavirus relief. Jobless aid for $30 million to lapse. Members of Congress and the White House have yet to make an agreement for the next iteration of the CARES coronavirus relief bill, ending the week of negotiations with frustrations on all sides. Friday marked the expiration date for the $600 a week unemployment boost, meaning nearly 30 million U.S. workers will now have a lapse in their unemployment benefits. Democrats have argued the boost should continue at $600 per week, while Republicans have proposed cutting the aid to $200 per week. Republicans also have pushed a short-term fix for unemployment payments, while Democrats want to pass a large-scale $3 trillion bill that includes the payments. Each side has blamed the other for the failure to strike a deal. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, Democrat California, and Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, Democrat New York, were scheduled to continue negotiations with Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin and White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows on Saturday. This is according to the Washington Post and Reuters. Number 2, Trump says he's banning TikTok. President Trump on Friday said he will ban the popular Chinese-owned video app TikTok from the United States, either via executive order or another method. Earlier in July, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said the U.S. was looking into banning the app because of the national security concerns. In response to Trump's announcement, a TikTok spokesperson told NBC News that the company has created jobs in the U.S. and is committed to protecting users' privacy. Meanwhile, Microsoft has reportedly been working to buy TikTok from its Chinese parent company, ByteDance, for some time. Trump reportedly said he wasn't a fan of the idea, but Bloomberg reports Trump's threat to ban the app is likely a, quote, negotiation tactic, end quote, to pressure ByteDance into selling the app to a U.S. company. This is according to CNBC and Bloomberg. Number 3, Fauci testifies lack of unified coronavirus response worsened outbreak. Dr. Anthony Fauci, the director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, appeared before Congress on Friday for a hearing on the federal government's coronavirus response. Fauci said the U.S. outbreak of COVID-19 has been so severe partly because the states did not shut down thoroughly enough and lockdown measures were rolled back too quickly. He also suggested the response was too splintered across several state and local plans rather than a unified federal plan. Quote, I think there was such a diversity of response in this country from different states that we really did not have a unified bringing everything down, end quote. He said. Fauci also reiterated he believed a vaccine could be ready by the end of the year. This is according to Politico. Number 4, Hurricane Isaias threatens Bahamas on way to East Coast. The Bahamas is expected to continue to feel the brunt of Hurricane Isaias on Saturday. Officials evacuated people who have been living in temporary structures on Abaco Island since Hurricane Dorian caused severe damage last year. After it moves on from the Bahamas, the storm will head toward Florida, which will likely experience either a direct hit or a close call. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, Republican, issued a state of emergency for counties along the East Atlantic coast. Forecasts then anticipate Isaias moving up the East Coast early next week, prompting states like North Carolina and Virginia to issue their own states of emergency. A mandatory evacuation of North Carolina's Ocracoke Island, which was also hit by Dorian, was ordered beginning Saturday morning. The storm reportedly has a maximum sustained winds of 85 miles per hour, but is not expected to strengthen significantly over the weekend. This is according to the Washington Post and USA Today. Number 5, England pauses lockdown easing. French cases spike. UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson announced Friday it was time to, quote, squeeze the brake. Let me start over again. Quote, squeeze the brake pedal, end quote, on the easing of coronavirus lockdown restrictions in England after an increase in cases for the first time since May. England's chief medical officer, Professor Chris Whitty, added that the country has, quote, probably reached a, let me start that again, quote, probably reached near the limit or the limits of what we can do in terms of opening up society, end quote. Cases are also on the rise in other European countries, including France, which has seen more than 1,300 new infections per day for the last 3 days. At the beginning of July, the number of daily new cases in France had dropped to several hundred. It has been suggested in the recent spike is related to increased holiday travel. This is according to The Guardian and BBC. Number 6, court overturns sentence for Boston Marathon bomber. A federal appeals court overturned the death sentence for Boston Marathon bomber Dzhokhar Tsarnaev on Friday. Tsarnaev, along with his older brother, Tamerlan Tsarnaev, was found guilty of planting 2 pressure cooker bombs at the finish line of the marathon in April 2013, killing 3 people and injuring more than 250 others. A 3-judge panel of the first U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals determined the initial trial did not properly screen jurors for possible biases. The judges said Tsarnaev, quote, will spend his remaining days locked up in prison, with the only matter remaining being whether he will die by execution, end quote. Tamerlan was killed by police following a days-long manhunt for the brothers. Dzhokhar was convicted on 30 charges and is in prison in Colorado. This is according to NBC News. Number 7, arrest warrants issued for Tan Kakui Hankes Laos Chu, living in exile abroad on suspicion of secession or colluding with foreign governments. The warrants are the first example of the city's law enforcement using extraterritorial power to go after activists who aren't living in Hong Kong since Beijing passed a new national security law that seeks to undermine the movement. Chu said the move shows, quote, how desperate and how scared, end quote, China is of international pressure. Separately, Hong Kong Chief Executive Carrie Lam said the city's legislative council candidates. This is according to Al Jazeera and the New York Times. Number 8, MLB reportedly considering shutting down season over COVID-19 the entire season if teams don't find a way to contain coronavirus infections and staffers. After two Cardinal players tested positive for COVID-19. Just days ago, a Miami Marlins coronavirus outbreak